In this episode, we will take a look at some more seemingly random events that all somehow contain deliberately enigmatic and mysterious occult symbolism hidden inside of them, all of which points us towards the son of perdition and the wicked schemes of the rebellious one being carried out by those who are enamored, possessed, influenced, and spurred on by the supernatural power of the spirit of Antichrist. On September 29th, 2020, the city of Cleveland made preparations for Tuesday's presidential debate to be held at Sampson Pavilion. The date, September 29th, gives us the number 999, since September is the 9th month and 29 equals 2 nines or 99, thus 999. When inverted, we get the number 666, the number of the beast. The fact that the debate was held in Sampson Pavilion connects back to the tribe of Dan, since Samson was a descendant of that tribe, which is the tribe that the Antichrist will rise from. This also connects back to the dreadhead cowboy who rode his horse on the Dan Ryan. Further, this connects to the Pepsi is more than okay commercial, which was telling you that the OK hand sign is actually the 666 hand sign. That commercial also had a symbolic representation of the tribe of Dan. The word debate itself means a contention by words or arguments, disharmony, and discord. This is all part of the plan for 666 to divide America.
Because the question is, radical left. Will you shut up, man? Listen, who is on your list, Joe? Who's on your list?
Right, gentlemen, I think we've ended this.
Unprecedented.
We have ended.
The debate was held in Cleveland, Ohio, which connects back to LeBron James, who formerly played for Cleveland. And as you know, LeBron is known as King James. Notice LeBron is wearing a crown or corona, which connects to the coronavirus, and he is sitting in the Iron Throne from Game of Thrones. The Iron Throne is a metonym for the fictional monarchy of Westeros, as well as the physical throne of its monarch. Remember the connections to Westeros, as we'll come back to it later. The Iron Throne was made of 1,000 swords of Aegon the Conqueror's enemies, who threw them down at his feet as a sign of fealty after the War of Conquest ended. The surrendering of their weapons is similar to what Micah 4:3 tells us when speaking about the house of the Lord being established on top of Mount Zion by the true Messiah, when it declares, "And he shall judge among many people, and rebuke strong nations afar off, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up a sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore." It is no marvel then that the false Messiah will attempt to counterfeit these actions as the false man of peace.
And yet I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge the considerable controversy that your generous decision has generated. In part, this is because I am at the beginning and not the end of my labors on the world stage.
Therefore, Aegon the Conqueror, also known as Aegon the Dragon, is a reference to the Antichrist, who is given his power and seat from the dragon. This is the true reason we were shown Barack sitting on the Iron Throne, wearing the corona. Like the rider of the white horse of Revelation 6:2, Aegon is a conqueror. Also, Aegon the Conqueror's ultimate goal was to create a unified kingdom under his rule, much like the one world government that the Antichrist will create when he unifies 10 kingdoms who give their power unto the beast. This can be found in Revelation chapter 17, 12, and 13. Those kings will also make desolate and destroy the whore of Babylon with fire. This can be found in Revelation 17, 16. According to the story, in order to forge the Iron Throne, the swords were heated by the breath of a dragon known as Belerion, the Black Dread. Therefore, the reference to the conquering rider on the white horse in the Black Dread connects back to the dreadhead cowboy, who just so happens to be a black cowboy who rode his horse on the Dan Ryan Highway in Chicago. The kingdom in Game of Thrones was called Westeros, and as it just so happens, a Western is a movie about cowboys. But I digress. We'll have more on black cowboys later, but let's not get ahead of ourselves just yet. As we've discussed previously, the word Cleveland means to cleave or to divide the land, and this is exactly what the spirit of Antichrist plans on accomplishing by pushing the theme of rebellion and revolution here in America in order to divide and conquer. We saw Obama give his speech for the D20 at the American Revolution Museum in Philadelphia, which connects to 1776 and the American Revolution. Division is exactly how the Antichrist conquers. The entire world has been separated from each other by countries closing their borders to outsiders because of the coronavirus. In fact, someone recently said to me that the Antichrist has conquered the entire world without having fired a shot through coronavirus. And that's true, but there's more to it than even that. Someone else said to me that the bow which the rider on the white horse has is a piece of cloth. And sure enough, the word used for bow in that verse is Strong's G5115 toxin, which is listed as the simplest fabric, a reference to the masks the world's population has been forced to wear as a form of ritual submission to the Antichrist through coronavirus, or being crowned, which means to be surmounted, overcome, or conquered by the virus or venom of the serpent. Interestingly enough, on 10/2/2020, the announcement was made that Donald and Melania Trump have contracted coronavirus, or in other words, they're showing the world that they are submissive to, under the rule and control of, the Antichrist.
Breaking news. The President and First Lady have tested positive for the coronavirus. This coming after one of the President's closest advisors tested positive. Hope Hicks traveling with Trump to and from the first presidential debate in Cleveland, Ohio on Tuesday.
The announcement was made on 10/2/2020, or 10 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, which equals 16. We know that Donald Trump represents the 16th Trump Tower Tarot card. He was elected in 2016, and on the 16th floor of his Trump Tower Hotel in Chicago, no less, there's a restaurant called 16. You remember, he was also placed on the cover of The Economist magazine next to the 16th Trump Tarot card. The 16th Trump Tower Tarot card represents sudden, disruptive, and destructive change. It also symbolizes chaos, division, and discord, which is brought about by the lightning bolt striking the tower and dividing it in two. We know that the lightning bolt represents Obama, since Barack means lightning.
Although we're in the midst of a big political fight, and we take that very seriously, We also want to extend our best wishes to the President of the United States, the First Lady.
Since we're speaking about lightning, as a side note, I must mention that the Tampa Bay Lightning just won the Stanley Cup.
The Stanley Cup is coming back to Tampa Bay. We have live team coverage on the Tampa Bay Lightning's amazing win tonight and the excitement extending beyond the crowd right now at Anomalies Arena.
Remember, in the previous video, we broke down the symbolic meaning found in the Bolt 24 commercial with Zion Williamson. But even more importantly, the phrase Barack Obama means lightning from heaven and is found in Luke 10:18, which declares, "And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven." Frequently, we have seen the use of the lightning bolt symbolism by artists in the music industry, including the iconic album cover for Latin Sane by David Bowie. Lady Gaga went a step further by adding the one-eye symbolism with the lightning bolt. In fact, it is possible that the Antichrist will receive his deadly head wound by being struck by lightning from heaven when Satan is cast down, just as Luke 10:18 declares, and the Antichrist becomes indwelt by the devil himself. We were shown a depiction of this in the movie Shazam. Also, I must remind you that on March 2nd, 2013, in awesome fashion, lightning struck St. Peter's Basilica. And on June 7th, 2020, lightning struck the Washington Monument. Interestingly enough, March 2nd is 3-2, but when reversed, is 2-3, a reference to Principia Discordia, or chaos and discord. 2013 is a reference to the number 13, which represents rebellion and revolution. June 7th, when reversed, gives us the number 76 and represents the spirit of rebellion and revolution as well. The Tampa Bay Lightning's stadium is called Amelie. The word Amelie means hope in German, which is a reference to Barack Obama and his campaign slogan of hope. The word hope also connects back to Donald Trump's coronavirus debacle, since he contracted it from his senior advisor, whose name is Hope Hicks. This announcement was made on October 2nd, 2020. From October 2nd to Election Day, November 3rd, is 32 days, which, again, when reversed, gives us the number 23, a representation of the goddess of chaos, Principia Discordia, or the principles of discord. Remember, since Donald Trump represents the 16th Trump Tower Tarot card, his job is to cause chaos, division, and discord. From the announcement of Donald Trump contracting coronavirus on October 2nd to Election Day, November 3rd, broken down into minutes, it can be written as 4 weeks and 4 days, which gives us the number 44, a reference to Barack, the lightning. But it doesn't stop there. When broken down to minutes, that same time frame is 46,080 minutes, which actually gives us the numeric anagram 846. 846 is the time that the first plane, American Airlines Flight 11, struck the North Tower of the World Trade Center on September 11th with 76 passengers on board. The date 9/11 represents Revelation chapter 9, verse 11, the rise of the king of the bottomless pit, Abaddon, or Apollyon, the destroyer. The number 76 represents the spirit of 76, or rebellion. We know that Obama was born on 8/4, and he went on to read Psalm 46, declaring himself to be God on September 11th.
Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth.
The number 846 is also a reference to the 8 minutes and 46 seconds Derek Chauvin kept his knee on George Floyd's neck as he said, "I can't breathe." The phrase, "I can't breathe," was a reference to the coronavirus. Remember George Floyd's picture next to the corona bottle. So you see, the coronavirus is all connected to the rider on the white horse, the Antichrist. When we dig a little deeper into Revelation 6:2 in the word bow, we find this. The Greek word toxin means bow or arrow. From this came the Greek toxicon, meaning a poison in which arrows are dipped. Now remember, the word virus actually means the venom or poison of a serpent. Therefore, in this sense, the bow could easily represent the mask and the venom or toxin of the serpent. The rider on the white horse has no literal arrows because he does not conquer with war. He conquers with lies and innuendo, with nuance and subtlety. With a whisper from his lips, he injects his poisonous toxicon into the veins of society at large, which then becomes contaminated, polluted and corrupted, full of hate and malevolence, bigotry and bitterness, fear and apathy, anger and hostility, violence and death. This is the serpent's divisive and discordant nature from his very first rebellion, which he led in heaven, causing a schism or division by convincing a third of the angels to rebel against their own heavenly Father. After the debate, one news outlet said that it would be remembered for 90 minutes of interruptions, name-calling, and general chaos on stage in Cleveland. How fitting. In fact, this was the true intention of the debate, to divide the nation. 90 minutes is 1 hour and 30 minutes, which gives us the number 13. During the debate, when asked about whether he would condemn white supremacists, Trump failed to fully do so, telling the Proud Boys group, "Stand back and stand by."
White supremacists and
Who would you like me to condemn?
white supremacists and right
Proud
militia.
Boys, stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what, somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left, because this is not a right-wing problem. This is a left-wing. This is a left-wing problem.
The man at the center of this picture is Gavin McInnes, an English-born Canadian writer and political commentator. He is the founder of the Proud Boys, co-founder of Vice Media, and a frequent contributor to Rebel Media. Rebel, of course, connects him to the theme of rebellion and revolution. Notice the guy standing next to him is wearing a MAGA hat with Aleister Crowley's symbol for Thelema on his hoodie. Thelema is an occult social or spiritual philosophy developed in the early 1900s by Aleister Crowley, the English writer, mystic, and ceremonial magician who called himself the Beast or 666. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law is the very first law of Thelema. We saw Jay-Z wear a hoodie with those words emblazoned across his chest. Thelema describes what is termed the Aeon of Horus, the crowned and conquering child, which connects back to Aegon the Conqueror and his iron throne made by the breath of the dragon. Gavin's connection to Aleister Crowley was done so deliberately. Remember I told you that he is the co-founder of Vice? Well, the word vice actually means moral depravity, corruption, and wickedness. As it turns out, Aleister Crowley was given the title, the most wicked man in the world. Therefore, when you see members of the Proud Boys throwing up the 666 hand sign, the devil horns, and wearing Aleister Crowley's logo for Thelema, you can be sure that this is not a fashion faux pas made by so-called white supremacists. That hoodie was purposefully chosen, knowing full well the implications and intimation of what wearing that symbol communicates to those in the know. These people are occult practitioners of magic, performing mass satanic rituals of pandemic proportion that are far-reaching in scope and horrifically malevolent in intent. It is nothing more than the spirit of rebellion and revolution, the spirit of Antichrist that influences and drives the people who orchestrate these events. In this picture in particular, you see Gavin throwing up the West Side hand sign made popular by Tupac. The Proud Boys describe themselves as Western chauvinists. This connects them back to Derek Chauvin, the officer who kneeled on George Floyd's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Remember, the definition of chauvinism is blind patriotism and nationalism. The spirit of Antichrist wants you to hate nationalism by associating it with white supremacy. They are doing this so that you will turn your back on nationalism and acquiesce to globalism and the new world order. It should be noted that Tupac claimed that the West Side or W symbol represented the division between the East and West Coast. But once the two sides came together and united, then the W would become a fist, which is the symbol for rebellion and revolution. This proves that the philosophy of divide and conquer has been used in the past and is still presently being used against the black community today, pitting it against itself through the violence of rival gangs in the community. And on a larger scale, this philosophy is also being used to divide the nation through the practice of Satanism, hidden under the guise of racism, bigotry, hatred, and white supremacy. Now for Antifa, which is a leftist movement that is the opposite of the far right. Antifa has been accused of initiating illegal street violence through roving bands of masked violent actors attacking their opposition. The group gained prominence in the United States after the white supremacist Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville. Antifa has also been closely connected with the Black Lives Matter movement. There have been accusations that both far-right and far-left activists have hijacked peaceful protests, causing them to devolve into chaos. In fact, Antifa was blamed for inciting violence amid growing protests following the death of George Floyd. They are called Antifa, which is short for anti-fascists, and they're part of a loosely organized national network of anonymous anarchists. Remember, V for Vendetta author Alan Moore spoke about anarchy.
Anarchy is, and always has been, a romance. It is clearly the best way and the only morally sensible way to run the world.
We know that, like Aleister Crowley, Alan Moore is an occult practitioner of magic.
One of the most revealing aspects of my researches into magic and the occult has been the discovery that actually magic has quite a lot in common with fiction and with fantasy.
In fact, the character V for Vendetta is revealed to be Satan through the lyrics of sympathy for the devil. Notice Alan Moore even mentions Aleister Crowley in this interview.
The idea of a grimoire, a dark book of spells. Grimoire is simply another way of spelling grammar. According to Crowley, to cast a spell is simply to spell.
It is clear then that all of these groups are connected with the philosophies of Aleister Crowley, New Age occultism, and the devil himself. Earlier, I mentioned Westeros as representing the West Side, which also connects to good old-fashioned Westerns or cowboy movies. Obviously, this connects to the rider on the white horse, which we saw an example of the dreadhead cowboy who rode his horse on the Dan Ryan in Chicago as a form of protest. There's also a group called the Compton Cowboys who joined the Black Lives Matter movement to protest the killing of blacks by police. Compton Cowboys, or CC, gives us the number 33 since the letter C is the third letter. Therefore, this is a reference to the 33rd degree of Freemasonry in their mantra, which is order out of chaos. But more importantly, the West Side represents the Western world. Liberal democracy and freedom of speech may be the most common governments and values found in the current Western world. According to Islamic prophecy, the sun rising in the west is a reference to Imam al-Mahdi's reappearance. The 12th Imam, the Islamic Mahdi, is the same as the Antichrist. Remember, Obama's logo is the rising sun. According to world geography, since he was the president of the United States, he comes from the west, thus representing the sun rising in the west. In describing the Antichrist, Daniel chapter 11 verses 30 through 45 tell us about the tyranny of the Western king. Verse 31 declares, "And arms shall stand on his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, and shall take away the daily sacrifice, and they shall place the abomination that maketh desolate." Verse 36 goes on to say, "And the king shall do according to his will, and he shall exalt himself, and magnify himself above every god, and shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished. For that is determined shall be done." The tyranny of the Western king, who is most definitely the Antichrist, ends in verse 45, which declares, "And he shall plant the tabernacles of his palace between the seas in the glorious holy mountain. Yet he shall come to his end, and none shall help him." In conclusion, the division and discord we are seeing play out in America today is nothing more than the planned destruction of America in order to put the world on the path to the formation of the United Nations of the New World Order, the one world government that will be ruled by the Antichrist. If you have not surrendered your life to the Most High by accepting the blood sacrifice of the Paschal Lamb, Yahushua HaMashiach, that was shed on the cross for the redemption of sins, the time to do so is now. The time has come to choose to be either a goat on the left or a sheep on the right. And that choice has absolutely nothing to do with the fraudulent, phony sham that is the radical right versus the radical left political paradigm that is consistently used to keep the people divided and fighting amongst themselves instead of focusing on the true enemy. When the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory, and before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on the left. Then shall the king say unto them on his right hand, Come, ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. Then shall he say also unto them on the left hand, Depart from me, ye cursed, into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. There is only one God. Amen. Shalom.